I think it's fair to say that you probably say your quality of life has improved over the last several years since you've
Without a
adopted
doubt.
ketogenic and then carnivore diet. And then the critics of this would say, well, carnivore diet or ketogenic diet might increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. What are your thoughts regarding that? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It's debatable, but let's just assume it does. Let's just say, yes, you increase your risk of cardiovascular disease by 20% by doing what you do. Would you change anything, or what would you do?
If you kind of bypass just cardiovascular disease and you look at all the stuff you could die on, an obese person with an alcohol abuse issue and depression with suicidal ideation is not a person who's going to have a good, long, productive life. That's the difference I'm looking at there, right? Like somebody who was on a path that would eventually lead them to being completely isolated from society, or somebody who is really out there living and enjoying life. And, if it's 5 fewer years or 10 fewer years, they're much better years this way than they would have been the way I was going.
Yeah. So you definitely would pick quality of life over quantity of life. And it very may well be that you're living longer anyway, because, like you mentioned, alcohol, persistent thoughts about death, depression, all those issues. There are a lot of ways your life could have been shortened in that regard. And so that's usually what I hear from most people, because their quality of life has improved so much. And it's hard to believe that, you improve your health so much and yet you've raised yours. Well, just dropping the 25, 30 pounds you dropped and the alcohol and some of the other stuff has probably on net improved your cardiovascular health. I think that's not an unreasonable assessment. And I think that's something we have to all kind of come to terms with. Any physicians involved in your transition? Do you go see the doctor regularly, or can you tell us about that, if that exists?
I lost most of my weight just kind of in one stretch from February to maybe July of 2018. And right toward the end of that, I went to the doctor and they did my blood work and my total cholesterol was something like 385. Mm-hmm. They lost their minds.
I was going to say that induces a heart attack in the doctor, not maybe you, but the doctor sees that and, oh my God, let's start eating. Yeah. You need to be on 6 statins and eat some cardboard and, take every drug known to man to lower that thing right away. Okay. So yeah, you get the typical response.
Yeah, absolutely freaked them out. And they're like, and I just told them straight out, I'm like, look, I'm in the middle of weight loss. I would expect things to be wacky right now. And I'm not going to take a statin because I feel fantastic. And everybody I've known that's ever taken one has been miserable, from the side effects. So they said, fine, try to fix it with diet and exercise. I went back the next time. It was improved from their perspective, but it wasn't where they wanted to see it. So they tried to give me other medication to lower cholesterol. It wasn't a statin. It was had a different mechanism. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fine, whatever. I never filled it. And then the next time I went back to the doctor, the numbers were improved again. And I had told them that I never filled that prescription and I didn't take the medication. And then the doctor came in and said, hey, your numbers look better. The drug's working. I'm going to up your dose. And that's when I realized that the doctors are paying no attention to anything that you're saying. And also the doctor obviously didn't care about any of my physiologic metrics except for that cholesterol number. And so that was the last time I saw them.
That's unfortunate. I mean, maybe the nurse didn't tell them or something. I don't know. I mean, I can't say. I've been in the position where, you don't always get all the information. And, most doctors are running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to keep up with their patient load. Unfortunately, it's a very inefficient in a system where, as some of us have seen, medical errors are the number 3 leading cause of death in the United States, or put it that way. And so you wonder, has that something to do with it? And I don't doubt it. So you still have relatively high cholesterol. I don't know what it is. It was 3 something and now it's 2 something maybe. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, it's I don't know, 250-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, depending on, what studies you look at, I mean, there's all-cause mortality data which shows that number is on an all-cause mortality, not that big of a deal. Now, the critics would say that's reverse causality, and it just shows that people with lower cholesterol get sick and die. That they're already sick and dying, and so it's confusing for a lot of people. Blood pressure? I don't know when the last time you checked it. That's another risk factor that tends to be quite predictive for disease.
So I have gotten a new doctor. It's a direct primary care doc. Okay. So he's a lot more receptive to my activities, a lot more willing to work with me. So my blood pressure is in the ideal range. Yeah. Where it was borderline hypertensive pre-carnivore, and my liver enzyme numbers, which were of course elevated when I was drinking, are all good. And I went from a 39-inch waist to a 32-inch waist. Yeah. So physiologically, everything is great except that LDL number.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We continue to see this, and the more I see it, the more I wonder. It's like, why would this one marker only go up and everything else get better? And then there's people say, well, hey, why don't you could have done this? You could have lost the weight, and if you had just eaten, a diet focused on, fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lower fat and that type of stuff. There's a lot of people would say the lean protein cuts. Why did you ever try that? Why don't you think that would work for you, or do you think it might work for you?
So way back in the early 2000s, when it first came out, I did South Beach, lean proteins, lots of olive oil, lots of veggies and fruits and beans and all of that stuff. I did lose weight doing that, but I wasn't well. I wasn't vigorous living that way. And I really could not wait to stop eating like that. And that's not been the experience in carnivore. Like, I never go in to go eat a hamburger. I'm like, I can't believe I have to eat hamburgers again. Like, I'm happy about it every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I just mentioned yesterday, I've been doing this for 6 years, solid carnivore, and before that keto. And, I've been playing with nutrition for about 12, 13 years now. And I was thinking, I said, this is probably something like 6,000 steaks I've had in the last 6 years. And I never disappoints me. I'm always satisfied when I eat it. I always I look forward to it. I've got 2 steaks cooking right now. And when I get done interviewing you and doing some consultations, I'll eat those, and I'm going to look forward to that. Steak and eggs, I look forward to every day. So it is nice that it's, like I said, you can enjoy the food, because I've always said this: if you're hungry all the time or you don't enjoy your food, you're never going to stick to this diet. This is never going to happen. You got to find something you enjoy and that actually deals with hunger. And that's something, I guess, because do you find that the simplicity, and do you have a decent level of satiety where you don't have to constantly obsess about how much you're eating or calculate? Is it just pretty intuitive for you at this point?
I tend to cook in big batches, so I plan ahead a little bit, but yeah, I go to the grocery store, I buy whatever beef is the cheapest that week, and I take it home and I cook it and I eat it, and it's great.